Well, here's where things can get a little bit difficult, Libra. When you have these red lines that we can see here between, for example, the Sun and Pluto and Saturn, this is the challenge and the additional responsibility that is likely to occur this month, especially when we see the Moon traverse this fourth house of your horoscope. I'm Dadhichi, by the way, from astrology.com.au, and welcome to those of you that are new. If you're a Libran, here's Mars sitting right behind the beginning of your sun sign. A little bit of relief there to all of this, shown by the conjunction of Moon and Jupiter in your third house of communication. Talk is always, well, constructive talk is always the best way to deal with these sorts of things. Unfortunately, you may be very, very frustrated, especially as this month starts, due to these fiery planets being in your sun sign. Certainly initiating a lot of change, a lot of physical change, a lot of change regarding yourself. And here around the 6th and 7th, this lunar position, also bringing the energy that it had back here in Libra to this fourth house. What's the fourth house? Fourth house is your mother, your family, a lot of those domestic issues that, you know, the day-to-day sorts of things. We have Mercury, totally friendly planet here in your finance sector, in that erratic opposition to Uranus in the 8th house of shared resources. And you'll notice here there are some other factors, such as the 6th house Neptune, that can be confusing some of your finances and debts. But that looks favourable there around the 11th, with the Moon transiting the idealistic Neptune and receiving those favourable trine aspects from your ruler Venus and Mercury there in the 2nd house of finance. The important thing to look out for here is this very powerful 7th house full moon around the 12th and 13th. This is going to activate your relationships and at least bring that into the foreground around the 14th, as you can see here, as this moon is transiting the critical 7th house. The 1st, 4th, 7th and 10th houses are what we call the angles or the foreground of your horoscope. That financial stuff we were talking about is further activated by the conjunction of the Moon and Uranus around the 15th, opposing these two planets, Mercury and Venus. You're very clever with money this month. You may be looking at aesthetic ways to make money, but you have to be careful of the unsettling opposition to Uranus and the transit of the full moon, or very near after that full moon, to this 8th house of shared resources, banking, taxing, all of those fun sorts of topics. As the moon moves up into the upper part of the horoscope, we'll see that around the 20th there'll be a distinct shift to the area related to your work. That's this area here, the 10th house of your horoscope, with the moon close to the North Node in its own sign of Cancer there. So this is a strong emotional flavour. It's one that brings you in tune with what it is you feel you must achieve in your life. And there are some interesting cultural connotations associated with the North Node in the 10th house. So work may be crossing over with different cultures, people from different lands, unusual sorts of activities, and it is also a technical planet. 11th house here around the 22nd, 23rd gives you a social relief, and then as it moves into the 12th house, maybe a little bit of soul searching, meditation. These are periods when you'll have some sort of need to be alone and to get out of the fray. That also has a tonic effect on your domestic sphere, and that's well needed because you've got that lingering hard aspect from Mars. Again, Mars for you has to do with your marital and business partnerships. So when that's challenging this area, that may have to do with a difference of style in the way you want to manage your domestic affairs. It may even have to do with financial aspects associated with buying and selling property. Fourth house has to do with your fixed assets. On the 24th, the Sun moves here into this second house of finance again. You can see that this becomes more and more a particularly important part of your activities, especially where we see this new moon mixing there nicely with Venus and Mercury. So that normally shows us a strong drive towards changing your attitudes towards money, maybe even looking at a new way of earning your money. And that's also followed up by the third house transit with favourable Jupiter conjunction on the very last day of the month. So if it's more money you want, a new position you want, better income status, it's all about negotiation, especially the last day or two of October 2019. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to drop me a note if you've got any technical questions. If you want a more in-depth reading, that's something we should do face-to-face. I welcome that. In the meantime, take a look at the month in focus and the rest of the year. And I've also started to put up the yearly horoscopes for 2020. That's at astrology.com.au. And I'll be here same time next month, hopefully with your company again. Bye-bye now, Libra. Bye-bye.